Good morning, Colorado. You are listening to the Daily Sun Up. It's a conversation with the Colorado Sun. I'm team editor David Krause. Before we jump into today's conversation, here is a quick message from our sponsor.
Support comes from Credit Union of Colorado, proud to call Colorado home for more than 90 years. They are a local institution with a track record of showing up for the community and putting people first. Credit Union of Colorado. Honestly good. Learn more at honestlygood.org. Set the summer trend. Electrify your lawn equipment and help reduce harmful ground-level ozone in your Front Range community. Learn more at simplestepsbetterair.org. Got leftover paint taking up space? Recycle it with Paint Care. Paint Care makes it simple and easy for households and businesses to recycle their leftover paint responsibly. Drop it off for free at one of more than 200 sites across Colorado. To learn more, visit paintcare.org.
Now, back to the show. Hey, happy Monday, podcast friends, and thanks for listening. I'm David Krause, and today, a little bit of a warning. We are going to be using a little potty language as Sun Outdoors reporter Jason Blevins and I talk about a new study looking at the amount of human feces getting collected up in the high country. Jason Blevins, a touchy subject, but certainly one that everybody needs to know about, right?
You know what? Everyone poops, DK.
Amen, brother. Amen. All right, let's get into it. You've got a story looking at a study of hikers and how they relieve themselves on Mount Albert, Colorado's highest peak, and highly trafficked 14er, roughly 20,000 climbers a year up there. JB, let's get into it first. Give us some breakdown on the study, who did it, what they looked at.
Yeah, 2024, a researcher with Pennsylvania State University, Penn State, sat out there for a few weeks and surveyed 410 hikers on Mount Albert and found that 11% of people who go up Mount Albert are in need of a bathroom. And they sometimes use the trailhead toilets, but found out that a majority of them do not. There's a lot to sort of unpack there, but it turns out that there's somewhere around 880 poops a year buried up there on Albert somewhere. Who knows if it's in the alpine or in the tree line there, but it's safe to say don't go stomping around off trail if you start looking at all those. And this research project also included these free packed outdoor wag bags. Wag bags are obviously bags that you can poop in, seal up, and Packed Outdoors is a startup out of Gunnison County. Well, I guess they've been around for a few years now. It started in the pandemic, but they provided their kits, the wipe kits, the whole thing for free, and found that a large number of folks were using those bags and were maybe introduced to them and willing to use them again. So sort of taking a look at the research project really studied the idea that wag bags could be an answer to pricey toilets and maybe answering nature's call in an area that it's difficult to dig a cat hole, and two, a lot of those high alpine and conducive to degrading human waste.
Get into that a little bit more. Jason, you talked to the head of the 14ers initiative, and this isn't just an issue at Mount Albert, right? Talk about what his take is on some of this data and the concerns that they have.
Yeah, Lloyd Athern at the Colorado 14ers Initiative spends a lot of time up in the mountains, and he's had a whole career in the mountains. He was worked on Denali, creating a special can for climbers to carry their waste back down the mountain. And he had a pretty interesting number. Only 40% of the 58 14ers in Colorado have vault toilets at trailheads. That's a seemingly low number. So all his volunteers, all his crew members, all those dozens of folks that he sends up the mountains, everyone carries a wag bag. And, they sort of moved past the ick factor of that thing. And he didn't even really blink at talking about this. It's something that obviously everybody needs to talk about, but it's an issue that's kind of troubled a lot of federal land managers. If you look at some of the costs and pumping toilets, cleaning toilets, bringing llamas and mules up to wilderness areas to haul out poop, and the unfortunate job that rangers have to have sometimes to pick those up and bring them back down the mountain. This is a problem that is really all across public lands, and that Penn State research project really looked hard at that. And they went to New Zealand, Grand Teton National Park, and I refer to it as maybe one of the most exhaustive studies of people pooping in public lands. And I think what they're seeing is that these wag bags, these little sealable wag bags that gel things up, don't really slosh around, are really an answer to what has been a vexing problem on our public lands for decades now.
WAG bags, WAG stands for waste aggregation and gelling. Jason, WAG bags could become a greater thing probably as we see the Forest Service cuts that are coming. Get into a little bit of the concerns there on what's going to happen with some vaulted toilets there, but also just the overall idea of hikers are going to have to be a lot more responsible for themselves as the Forest Service staffing gets cut.
Yep. A new double vault toilet costs about $150,000. Single runs $70K. And then, the White River National Forest, for example, their concessionaires at campgrounds pay to pump toilets, but all the ones at trailheads, they spend a little more than $100,000 a year to send folks out there, pump those, clean them up. So it's kind of a high overhead and a high capital cost. And as we know, we've been writing about for a year and a half now, the federal land management agencies, Park Service, Forest Service, BLM, enduring steep budget cuts as well as staffing cuts. So there's maybe a less eager ability to build those facilities and service them regularly. So that is kind of pushing more of a reliance onto the actual hikers and public land users themselves, which is about a wag bag. And the idea here is that maybe, that list of essentials, 10 list of essentials that we're all supposed to carry in our backpacks when we head up to the high country, it sounds like wag bag needs to be added to the list there so that we can all do our part to clean up the high country there.
I keep a wag bag both in my 14ers backpack as well as my Jeep glove box because, to your point, you never know when you're going to need one or run across somebody. I thought it was interesting, Jason, one of the guys who helped create the pack kits, talked about this as a tools issue, not a lack of willingness. What did he mean by that?
Yeah, so when they started Packed Outdoors out of Crested Butte there, these packed kits, wildly popular now. I think they're sold at REI. They were part of the Moose Jaw Business Accelerator at Western Colorado University, and they had access to 25,000 emails through the Moose Jaw Business Incubator program. And so they sent emails to all these folks, and they got 25,000 responses, so probably more than 25,000 email addresses. But they found that just about everyone had some issues with, gastrointestinal issues on the trail and were finding themselves ill-equipped to deal with it, digging with the stick sort of thing. So these two fellows over at Pact, they created, Jake and Noah, they created this system, got a little shovel in it, little wipes that unfold with a drop of water. It's a very innovative program. And there's a number of these companies out there. It's not just Pact. But he wasn't surprised when he found out that, that 11% of hikers out of 20,000 people, that's a lot of folks, are pooping when they go to Mount Elbert. He says that jives with what we found through our research too. And that's people are the right tools and they often find themselves ill-equipped. And it's really just about being prepared. It's not necessarily, I would never put poop in my backpack. It's more like, I wish I had the right stuff to do it. And that's our Colorado thing. We've said that for years. It's not a weather problem. It's a gear problem. And we could say the same thing now with our pooping. It's not, ick. It's the fact that you don't have the right tools to handle it and do it properly and not have to, make it icky. It can be just same as a toilet.
Because as a rafter and kayaker, Jason, you're well aware on overnight trips, this is a regular thing, right? That's something that when you're doing overnight trips, it's part of having your whole checklist.
Yeah, exactly. Groovers, you got to have a system every time you get, head down a river. Rangers will check, make sure that you got your groover system all lined up. And, anybody's been on a rafting trip, the groover duty, it's not necessarily the worst duty. We try to make it the most scenic, beautiful spot you could ever take a seat on in the morning.
Speaking of that, there is a vault system up on the boulder field toward the top of Long's Peak that has been there for a long time. I know I had the pleasure of using it in the early 2000s. They have since kind of changed the vault there. Jason, talk about what that looks like and what they're trying to accomplish up there.
Yeah, new company called Toilet Tech has installed these systems. They were installed in 2018, so they're not new, but they replaced an old solar powered system up there that was installed in the early 1980s, and they're quite aesthetic. If you've ever been up there, they're actually stunningly beautiful. Won some awards from American Institute of Architects for one, and Rocky Mountain National Park. Very busy park, 4 to 5 million visits a year. They have been kind of working hard to address not only poop, but urine, finding a lot of nitrates and surprisingly caffeine in the water systems. Only one place that could come from. But they are finding that these backcountry restrooms actually work, and they are starting to reduce the burden on Earl the llama, who has to run up to that boulder field and haul out human waste like that. So they're finding that it's actually making a difference, as well as requirements that climbers in some of those particularly busy routes have to pack out their poop and toilet paper. So there's a lot being done, and I think it's this blend of kind of wag bags and toilets and backcountry systems and the whole thing that kind of, and really education and awareness and signage and the whole thing, it's starting to make a big difference.
Last thing, Jason, I think it was part of the story also, something that a lot of people don't kind of understand, how altitude can make a difference on GI issues. Walk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, the Penn State researcher found that, talking to all those folks and there is a bunch of medical issues up there, the change of pressure or whatnot when you get up high, and it can kind of cause a little bit of gastrointestinal distress. A lot of altitude sickness symptoms involve gastrointestinal issues, so it's not that surprising that especially maybe flatlanders coming up the hike of 14er often endure some form of unexpected rumblings in their gut. So it's like Lloyd said at Colorado 14ers Initiative, we can't really complain about poop on the mountain if you don't really give people options. And, wag bags are one of them. Trailhead toilets are another. It's not that unusual to feel that rumbling, especially on a big peak like Elbert, where, it's a 8-hour day or whatever, a 6-hour day. You get there at 3:00 in the morning, you've been drinking coffee all morning, on the drive up to Trailhead or whatever. It's not that, unusual that you might feel nature's call there as you sort of reach the Alpine.
We lovingly refer to it as decompressing the chamber when I go out with my hiking group.
That's what it is. It's definitely a change in pressure down there.
JB, always great to catch up with you and have a little fun on the podcast, but certainly a very important topic that people really need to start paying attention to, especially as we see these cuts along the Forest Service. If you haven't already, you can check out Jason's story as well as all of his other awesome outdoors coverage across Colorado. You can find that on our homepage and on our free Colorado Sun app. Jason Blevins, my friend, make it a great week.
Do the same, David Cross.
Thanks for listening. And finally, here are a few stories that you should know about today.
An employee at the Aurora Immigration Detention Facility has been arrested on suspicion of shooting a protester near the facility. Aurora police said the 42-year-old man opened fire after two female protesters initiated a, quote, verbal confrontation with employees who couldn't get into the facility because of a demonstration. One woman was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. Colorado public health officials are tracking 9 algae blooms in reservoirs around the state, prompted in part by this summer's hot temperatures and low water levels. Colorado officials warned of a busy season for toxic algae, saying they might show up earlier than usual after a record poor winter ended a month early. Phil Weiser will in all likelihood be Colorado's next governor. That means those Democrats who backed his primary opponent, Senator Michael Bennet, and now want to be in the next governor's good graces, must mend some bridges. The list includes 3 members of Congress, top state legislators, and Denver's mayor.
To read these stories and much more, visit our website, coloradosun.com. As an award-winning nonprofit news outlet, we take our mission of credible, independent journalism seriously, and you can check out our trust indicators at coloradosun.com/ethics. Our music is by the Denver-based Matt Skellinger Group. A link to their music is in our show notes, and a special thanks to Swallow Hill Music. I'm David Krause. See you next time.